I just spent the weekend with the guy who grew one of the largest info product businesses of all time. He took the company public and it reached almost a $5 billion valuation. And the interesting thing is, the way most you see these young kids today that are super rich, or at least they appear to be super rich, they're all in the info product space. All that means is you're selling information. So all these core sellers, they're selling you the dream on how to get rich. All of these, or they have a membership site where they are having you pay monthly recurring revenue to get some sort of information that they are selling, and they know the secrets to something, or they know something that you don't. It is a good space. It's one of the easiest spaces to grow to $1 million a year of profit because the margins are so high. If you have an audience, it's easy to sell. But it is one of the rarest business models you see for a business doing hundreds of millions of dollars per year. And I have a genuine question. Who do you know on YouTube, period, or any online space, where someone is doing hundreds of millions of dollars per year in their info product space? The answer is going to be probably nobody, or maybe one or two people. So this guy grew one of the largest. The company's name, it started as Stansberry Research and then went to Agora and then went public under MarketWise. They sold investment research. And so I went to his place in Maryland, where on his property, he has 3 guest houses, a 15,000 square foot office. He's building a second 15,000 square foot office. And this is just at his house in Maryland. He had 2 planes. He said he had 4 yachts. This guy was seriously wealthy. So I'm going to tell you guys a few things. One, what I learned while we were there, because the entire intent was to try and learn how to scale and grow an info product. And then, how can other people get opportunities like this? Because I did not know this guy. All I did was I continuously reached out until he eventually agreed to letting us hang out. And then he eventually let us stay at his guest house, and then we got dinner. And so first off, how do you grow a massive info product business like this? He calls it direct response. You get an ad, someone buys it, direct response. And just for context, in 2011, this guy had a YouTube video that reportedly made him over $300 million. I talked to him about that video, and he said it made over $1 billion of revenue. One single video, he said they did different variations of it. It was a 77-minute video, and it made over $1 billion. That's one of the most remarkable things of all time. So he said that it starts with, you have to have an incredible product. Without that, obviously, nothing else matters. And then he said, really the next most important thing is an incredible copywriter, because he mainly ran paid traffic. He got leads from mainly 2 sources. One was going to be an affiliate network where other people would sell his product for a commission. The other way was paid ads. Those were the 2 ways that he grew to this, in a referral-based program. So he did not have organic social media, or he did, but that was not how they got most of their leads. So when I say they did $1 billion on one video, a lot of that was run through paid ads or running through different affiliate networks. And so he has an incredibly robust affiliate team and manager that will find other people to sell his products for him. You can sell your products, or someone else can sell your products for you. And then he said for the emails and for the blogs that they write, having the best copywriters in the entire world being able to tell a story that sells, because people buy into narratives, and it's not just an idea that they're buying into. They want to buy a story. So you need someone that can sell a story and turn an idea into a persuasive story at that, and then just building the absolute best team. And so he said he wanted to hire this one guy that had incredible investment research in 1999. And he said that he wanted to hire this one guy that had some of the best research in the entire world, that he knew would pull in a ton of names. And this guy worked at a hedge fund, and it was the early 2000s. And he offered this guy over $1 million per year to come work for him and write material for his investment research letter. Where this guy was working at a hedge fund, he had to pay this guy substantial amounts of money. But he said that one hire made him tens and tens of millions of dollars over the next few years, because that guy pulled in a bunch of new subscribers, and he could use his credibility to pull in tons and tons of subscribers. So this is just a super basic overview of a few things that he did to scale significantly past other people. And an action step that I took is, first and foremost, for all of my clients, because I have a marketing company where we help a lot of large businesses grow on social media with the goal of getting more customers. Step one, number one for action steps for me is I am starting an affiliate network, and I'm trying to figure out how I could hire someone to manage an affiliate network and find affiliates to sell the products that all my clients sell. If I had 1,000 people selling the products, we would be making a lot of money, and that would be a good secondary company that I would be able to have. So if anyone does have experience in that, leave a comment. But then the second is, how did I hang out with this guy that has made billions and billions and billions of dollars when he didn't know who I was before? Well, first off, I reached out to him on Instagram because he had a pretty small following, and I said that I was studying his VSL, and I wrote a few talking points from his VSL that I was studying, that video that made over $300 million. Well, actually, turned out it was over $1 billion, and I was just telling him the things that I was studying with people that he knew. So he knows some of my clients like George Gammon, Robert Kiyosaki, Ken McElroy. He knows a lot of my friends. He's really good friends with one of my friends, Doug Casey. He actually bought Doug's company for 8 figures. And so I was throwing in names that he knew, and that could be proved by my Instagram that I was friends with them, while complimenting him about a super specific question. I wasn't just saying, hey Porter, can I have 10 minutes of your time? I was saying, hey, here's a super specific thing from your video that I've discussed with these people that you know. Can I ask you a few questions for an interview? And I reached out to him a bunch of times on Instagram. He did respond, and he said yes. But then what happened is I kept on following up, and he just never responded again. So I had to take more drastic measures. What I did was I emailed my friend Doug Casey, who is really good friends with Porter, and said, hey Doug, Porter agreed to do an interview with me over Instagram, but I don't think he checks it enough. Do you mind if you introduce us through email? And so what am I doing? I'm showing him, hey, Porter agreed to do this thing. I've already been in communications with him, but I can't reach out to him. Can you just make the introduction? I wasn't saying, hey, can you introduce me to Porter? I said, I've already put in all this work. Porter's already agreed. I'm not asking for something that he doesn't already want to do. Can you just give me his email? And so he made the introduction, and Porter emailed me back, and he said, yeah, I'd love to do an interview. And he said, let's schedule a day. I said, instead of let's doing a virtual thing, why don't I come out and fly to you, and I'll do an in-person documentary, because I want to fucking learn from this guy. I know that 2 days spending time with him is 1,000,000 times more valuable than doing a 1-hour Zoom call. So he said, sure, I have a guest house on property that you can stay at, and I'd be happy to take you out to dinner and we can spend the day together. So we flew out to Maryland on like a 4 days notice and went and stayed at his spectacular place. Then we were hanging out all day, touring his mega property, and then we went to dinner. And it was me, PJ, and Porter, and we walk into one of the most legendary and famous restaurants in Maryland, and like everybody in there just stops. Like all waiters just like freeze, and they're like, holy shit. And they go and shake hands with Porter and say, welcome back, sir. We reserved your specific table. They keep a table there for him. And we get in, he says, you guys aren't part of that new generation that doesn't drink, right? I said, nope, we'll take a glass of, we'll take a drink. And so he follows to order 2 bottles of wine, a white and a red, some sort of French names that I'd never heard of. And we go on to have a multi-hour discussion, breaking down the business model that I have, asking him tons and tons of questions. How should we scale? What's going on? Just a spectacular conversation, joking around, laughing, eating spectacular food, great drinks. And then I'm used to just always paying the bill. I mean, I think this month I spent probably $8,000 on food. I just go out and I always pay the bill. And I was gonna pay the bill with Porter. I said, Porter, thank you so much for everything you've done for us. I want to treat you to dinner. I'm just grateful for your time. And Porter says, thee who picks the wine shall get the bill, or something like that. And he said, if you knew how much money this bottle of wine, we had 3 bottles of wine. He said, if you knew how much these bottles of wine I ordered, you would not be saying that. I told him exactly how much money we were making. Why would you lie in those situations? I told him, here's the exact situation we're at, here's the situation we're trying to get to, here's how I think we can get there, I'd love your advice. This is what I do at a lot of these dinners, break down my business model, show them where I'm at. And he said, Mister, you do not want to pay that percentage of your income on a bottle of wine, or on a dinner. And he said, so he covered it. Thank you, Porter. We went back to Porter's house and played a game of shuffleboard, walked back home, and just hung out with him again the next day. So what is the takeaway here? It is just being relentless and finding people that are not necessarily the most famous. He grew a bigger info product business than Andrew Tate. And Andrew Tate was the most famous person in the world. But what are your probabilities on the other side of the screen reaching out to Andrew Tate and him responding? It's zero. It's not going to happen, no matter what you say. Even if you did the same amount of research that I've done, it's just not going to happen. So you have to make it more reasonable. But these guys who run companies that are doing hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars per year, they are not famous. They are not the guys that you see online. They're running an actual business. So if you find those businesses, it's actually not that difficult to get in contact with those types of people if you are being relentless and if you have actually studied. If you reach out to someone and say, hey man, can I have 10 minutes of your time? Their time is way too valuable. If you say, hey, can I buy you dinner? Hey, can I buy you coffee? No, that is terrible. You have to show that you've put skin in the game and you've actually studied, and it's an actionable question. It's not just, hey, I have this super broad question. What do you think of this? It's, you did this hyper smart thing with this VSL. Here are the main takeaways that I have. Here's the specific question I have around this VSL that you made. That is a very actionable question that proves to Porter when he reads that and says, well, this guy's definitely done his homework. That is very flattering to someone, that someone has deeply studied what you have done and then taking action upon it, and eventually it led to an incredible dinner and an incredible opportunity. But also just saying, okay, I'm gonna take the action, and when I get this opportunity, I'm gonna go fly out and see this guy and do whatever it takes and spend however much money it's gonna go take to potentially just hang out with him for 2 hours. Because you also don't know the opportunities that that's going to lead to in the future. This affiliate network could generate millions and millions of extra dollars for the business every single year. I need to get back to work, but quick talk with you.